Hello, welcome to the 26th episode of the Aussie Footy Show. Welcome to oh my goodness, the results of 22 rounds later. Oh, and we also got the round 23 previews. We've got 2 more rounds to go of the 2025 AFL Premiership season. We've got so many teams up and down, some huge wins, some just over the line, some just games that shows that pressure gains, and let's get on with the show. Because we've got so much. So before we get into the actual show, let's welcome back Aidan. Aidan, welcome back.
Thank you again.
No worries. So, round 22 overall is from the time we record this episode. We have 2 more rounds, as we said in the intro, 2024 AFL Premiership season. My thoughts and Aidan's thoughts of the season has gone so quick. So, amazing it's gone so quick, Aidan.
Yeah, it has gone really quick this year, and I think that's in part, we're probably going to have a look at the ladder a bit later on after we do our previews for round 23, but there's just the gap between the top 9 and the bottom 9 has really made the season feel very quick.
Anyway, yeah, so let's now share round 22 results, and if you would like to start off, Aidan, what a game this was, Hawthorn and Collingwood. I'll let you share what you thought are.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Round 22, Ben, as you said, started off on Thursday night, Hawthorn and Collingwood. Final scores here, Hawthorn 17-8, 1-10, Collingwood 6-10, 46. Very, very interesting game though. Collingwood, they lose Jeremy Howe in the first minute, and I think that really changes the game for them. I think that if they have Jeremy Howe for most of the game, well, for really the whole of the game, I actually don't think Hawthorn win this one. I think Collingwood get this one, but because they lose Howe so early on, and he's such a key player for Collingwood, I think that just, it rammed up the pressure on Collingwood, and they couldn't go with Hawthorn when they were playing clean football. And for the Hawks now, that pretty much locks them up in the 8. I think they're going to be good for the rest of the year. Collingwood, though, I am a little bit worried about at this point. They were running first, miles ahead of everyone, and then just a recent slide, and the Pack's caught up to them. I think that, they've got Adelaide next week that we'll get to, but the Cats are lurking. The Dockers are lurking, the Suns are lurking. They lose to Adelaide, they could be in real danger. But that is for next week. Hawthorn, on the other hand, as I said, they played a really great game. They played a really clean game. Very good score differential, 17-8. So that's basically it's a near 2-1 positive score differential there for Hawthorn, which is one of the things I talk about, just being able to, every time you hit the scoreboard, do something with it and make it a goal. And just also defensively limiting Collingwood to 16 scores. So all around great game for Hawthorn. I'll get to my player of the game now. And my player of the game for Collingwood and Hawthorn, I am going to have to give to Jarman Impey. Jarman Impey, 102 AFL Fantasy, 25 touches, 18 kicks, 7 handballs, 8 marks, and 2 tackles.
Yeah, thanks, Aidan. And look, yeah, as you mentioned, we're in Melbourne for the first night of football, and I got to say, this is the first time I see a game of football. It's like a challenge versus the best, and the challenge was Hawthorn. Hawthorn got the win, well done, and Collingwood go on to the Thursday night. They went head-to-head, and boy, a 68,515 packed the MCG on Thursday night, 40, which is got to say, it's a decent crowd, almost a sold-out crowd for Thursday night, and we haven't seen that in so long, but this game was not bored. It wasn't a boring game we've seen other games over this year, and hopefully that next season we see a better action especially for those Thursday nights. We have more Thursday nights than ever before. Like one extra Thursday night, that's extra. That's huge. But yeah. So as Ada mentioned, 78-110 defeated 16-46. A thumping victory, and really a her performance from Collingwood. Hawthorn just wanted to win, and they earn it. I think they are safe, but we'll start just nice and smooth. Look, Collingwood, wow, I did not see this coming off a loss to Brisbane. Yes, we all know that. Now, Hawthorn are big, a little bit worried coming close to the finals. And, Collingwood needed to win to keep their top 4 secured. But it's a big test from Collingwood, as Collingwood will face Adelaide Crows on Saturday night football at Adelaide Oval, sold out crowd. What a game that will be. And I've got to say, it's many ways to see so much in action for both teams coming off. Hawthorn with some, learning from that loss against Adelaide then by 14 and then absolutely put a clinic at the MCG. It's huge. So my thoughts, really, Collingwood being that top four. I know it's saying a bit harsh saying that you can't play that kind of football and expect to go into the MCG and beat Hawthorn. Hawthorn are incredible for, they let that go against a good side Adelaide, but, you never know. Collingwood could not play their style of footy. Hawthorn to play 4 quarters of footy. Simple as that. Hawthorn, well done. Big win. MCG, knowing this was the win they needed to keep themselves in that above of that top 8, even just under that top 4, showing good pressure and good footies, making Collingwood work even harder in their footy, and not with the win from Hawthorn. It makes it a big difference from GWS Giants, and anyone can finish at 8th place. We'll share that a little bit later in the show. As early, Collingwood travel to Adelaide Oval, big test. More for the big Packs. This is a big week for him. Mate, you know what you've done for this LA Football Club. Ups and downs. You're being a formal captain. You know what you've done, the rights and wrongs. But you're a legend. You're awesome bloke. And Hawthorn will take on Melbourne, MCG, Saturday afternoon, twilight football as well. Hopefully Hawthorn with another win. So really, to come with the player of the game, Jay New, from Hawthorn included 28 disposals, 5 marks, 2 tackles, 1 goal, 93 AFL fantasy, 41% defensive half, forward half with 59%, 11 scoring involvement, 21 bounce attempts, 7 clearances. Well done, Jay Newcombe from Hawthorn midfielder. Okay, Friday night footy, we head down to Geelong. That's known for Kilda Park, the sponsor of GMHB8 Stadium. Now, Geelong and Essendon. This is not bad. King is back scoring down in Geelong. It's pretty unusual to say, but 15-19, 109 defeated 10-5-60. Then the crowd attends 30,289. So I'll continue on and Aidan, all that you share this one. So this is the club. I've got some notes in front of me. We'll start with Essendon. Look, great effort. 3 quarters of football out of 4. The best quarter from Essendon was the third now of the Essendon's 5 goals off for the quarter, and yet it hasn't been the best season for Essendon. We all know that. Going down to Geelong wasn't easy. Good challenge. Then taking on Geelong is great. I'm giving full credit. I haven't said that all season to Essendon with all those injuries. What we do come to Geelong, mother win. Business as usual. As Aidan might say, down at Kilda Park, GMHB8 Stadium, Essendon came out in that third quarter, which is always a quarter that teams did struggle in the past, in my understanding. But I didn't really watch this. I was at basketball training in Adelaide Hills with Mark Barker for Special Olympics basketball training. So I didn't really have a chance to watch it. I watched a little bit, but not much. Giving you all great contest. That's what we all want to see. Then you go down to Geelong. Great start, kicking 4 goals to Geelong. Then in the first quarter, 3 goals during the second. Third quarter was 4 goals and 4 again in the final quarter. Geelong will be safe in the top 4, even top 2. We don't know because anyone can finish in that second spot. I think, in my opinion, Adelaide is safe to be in the top 2. Yeah, and Geelong will travel to Sydney, SCG on the Sunday afternoon with Essendon take on St Kilda on Friday night. Really not a big fan of that, but at Marble, but there is a double header we'll share that very soon. We'll come into the power game. Look, a man has kicked bags and bags of goals all year and should be the Collingwood medalist in my opinion. Jeremy Cameron included 15 disposals, 7 marks, 2 tackles, 4 goals, 0.5, 104 AFL fantasy, 14% in the defensive half. 86 was all those 4 goals in the half, and 86% was that forward half. 10 score involvement, pretty impressive, and a 348 metres game. Well done, Jeremy Cameron from the Geelong key forward. All right, Aidan, take it away. The Cats and the Bombers.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Main thing I want to get to with this one is how well Essendon kept up the contest. Playing against a team like Geelong, you can easily just go down to Geelong Cardinia Park and just lay your swords down in the first minute of the game. But Essendon, actively wanted to be in the contest, actively stayed in the contest, actually won the third quarter. So they won the third quarter by, 5 goals to 4 in the end. So they had a 1 goal turnaround turn in that third quarter. But, the way that they managed to, just keep in the game until sort of that late breakaway from the Cats, it just shows that Essendon, and I don't think this was a bad game from Geelong either, but before I get to talking about Essendon a bit more, but it just shows that when a team is committed and it shows a team want to go out and put on an effort, that things can happen. Okay, they didn't get the win. They lost by near 7-goal, 8-goal, but for 3/4 of that game, they were right on Geelong's tail, and especially early on, if they could have got a few more opportunities in that first quarter, I know Geelong, they played a really good defense in that first quarter. If the Essendon had a few more scoring opportunities, good scoring opportunities, it could have been a very different game for Geelong. So Geelong well defensively game planned this one against Essendon. They knew that Essendon struggled with that inbound kick to the forwards, and they played that well, and that's how they get the winners. They make Essendon work hard in the first quarter and make goals come hard for them, where the Cats, their goals come pretty easily in the end. But Essendon should be proud of this. Geelong, as Ben said, it's business as usual for them. Too sexy again. Final score here 15-19, 109, 10-5, 65. So again, Essendon, great game. If you had more scoring opportunities, score could have been a little bit different, probably even a little bit of pressure on Geelong later in that game could have forced a major upset. But we'll get to my player of the game this week, who is from Geelong. It is Bailey Smith from Geelong, 120 AFL fantasy, 31 touches, 25 kicks, 6 handballs, 6 marks, and 4 tackles.
Okay, so we have to go. We come to Super Saturday football, footy, and what Super Footy we have. So, just give you a little bit intro, just go break down by break. First up, it's the Richmond and St Kilda in a low scoring. Home to see Richmond bounce back big time in front of their Richmond supporters, fans base. St Kilda keep on winning until the season is complete. We have the second game heading to the Brisbane in the heart of Queensland. Well, what my thoughts, this game is the game of the round heading to the Gather. We have the grand final rematch, second time for the year. So while again this will be between Brisbane and Sydney Swans, we'll share that base. We then come to the double header with Saturday night football. With first up we head back to Melbourne at Marvel Stadium for Carlton versus Gold Coast, then heading to Adelaide over in South Australia, Adelaide, Port Adelaide and Fremantle. What a game that'll be to share. So which also could be the upset of the round in such a long way for Super Saturday night footy. So, who would like to go first? It's a bit of a difficult position. Not really too difficult to decision, but Aidan, I'll let you share, if that's all right, for the first game between the Saints and the Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. This Saturday, there are a lot of games on the plate that we thought they're not great watches, and all of a sudden we had 3 games, come down to the last quarter, the last 5 minutes. Even Gold Coast and Carlton was pretty good all night long. But this Saturday really was, if we're going to give it a name, I'm going to call it Scary Saturday, because there was some raised hearts and stuff during the game for the players, the coaches, the spectators, for pretty much all 8 teams who played today. And we start with Richmond versus St Kilda at the MCG. Now, for Richmond and St Kilda, these are teams who are both, their seasons are over. They're just playing for personal pride at this point, and they're just playing for the satisfaction of going out and having fun and playing footy, which is what it's all about. And both of these teams played, a very, very good game. It was a very close game all day, throughout the game. And neither team sort of got a breakaway. St Kilda got a small breakaway come end of the first quarter, then Richmond come back, and then it was pretty much goal for goal, point for point from that point on towards the end of the game. Now, the final scores in this one were Richmond 7-10-52, St Kilda 8-8-56. So Richmond a little bit more scoreboard accuracy, could have flipped this game for you, but still not a horrible effort nonetheless. 17 scoring shots to 16 scoring shots, one flip either way, and this game's a completely different game. But well done to both of these sides. St Kilda, a team historically would lose these games. They get one here. I know it's against a bottom-end Richmond, but this Richmond team this year surprised a lot of people. It surprised me, played really well, got a couple of wins. I thought at a point this was going to be another one on their list this year. Just couldn't finish it off against the Saints at the MCG to kick off Scary Saturday. And I'll go straight to my player of the game, who is from St Kilda. It is Cal Wilkie from St Kilda, 136 AFL fantasy, 29 touches, 25 kicks, 4 handballs, 16 marks, and 2 tackles.
Yeah, Gary, it does interesting to say there is a few games to share, and Both just playing for fun. Low scoring. Yep, 56, 7, 10, 52. Well done to St Kilda. But the crowd was 41,395. It's pretty a good crowd, MCG. Not 20, 25,000 at the G. It's a really MCG, would say. But getting to really my thoughts deeply, Richmond, better performance. And I said this last week, or fortnight ago, last week, when they played GJS, after that horrible loss, Richmond will bounce back, and they did big time, and it was in front of their Richmond supporters. St Kilda, well done, holding on another win. These are the wins to make successful and to make, yes, they're maybe not playing finals, okay? The seasons, they all know that. Richmond has surprised me in a lot of ways, and they've got so much talent, and they're having a good time. They're like brothers on a footy field, and that is what all about. Like, shake it all about. Look, St Kilda's had one of those seasons that they will be in the games and struggle. Same with Richmond. That's what I understand with Richmond point of view. But I think Richmond are a lot better, and what surprised me in a lot of ways, and I'll give them more 40 credit. But as much as not much to say of the play of the game, look, this fella deserves, and he's from Richmond. Ryan Manshell included 17 exposed, 5 marks, 7 tackles, 94 AFL intensity, was a 32% defensive half, 68% forward half, 2 goals, 6 score involvements. Well done to Ryan Marshall for the Richmond star forward. We come to the second game for Saturday footy. We have the last two. This is the second time this season. The grand final rematch is now in Brisbane at the Gutter. The 2024 Premiers take on the 2024 runners-up. It's Brisbane versus Sydney. Final score 13-40-92, 13-12-90. You go to Brisbane, it's not easy. You go to Adelaide, you go to Geelong, you go to Canberra, doesn't matter. You go to Perth, and boy, they're going to share those zones. Sydney travelled, a big road trip. May not far, but it's a trip. A 2-point victory. Enjoy it. But you need to get back to Sydney, take on your next challenge. I think you'll do well against these Geelong Cats. But the crowd attendance for this was 31,424. Another story at the Gutter. Well, Sydney came out well, not much. Brisbane. They did so well against Collingwood, and for some reason they came and they take on Sydney, and they could not get themselves in front. Well, Brisbane did not lead at all game. Final quarter, it was only once to win. Sydney holding on. Brisbane knows they'll bounce back next week against Fremantle in Perth, which will be the solve of who is going to finish in that top 4. It's not the end of the world to not win that game, because you'll learn from a loss, which is common in football. As I said, learn from a loss from Brisbane, season not over. Big test against Fremantle in Perth, which you never know. Fremantle, it can be shaky on the Friday night. Should be a good game. Sydney will be back. SCG against Geelong. What a contest that'll be. Good Sunday afternoon. All right, Isaac Hingy, well done, Sydney midfielder. Won the marks of the round, in my opinion. He's definitely a dominant and one of my nominees for that. Well done to that. Isaac Henry include 23 exposures, 6 marks, 5 goals, 114 AFL intensity, 32% defensive half, 68% forward half, 10 score involvements, 26 centre bounce attenders, 3 clearances. Well done, Isaac Henry from the Sydney Swans midfielder. Well, Aidan, let's hear the second time they met from last year's grand final from the Lions and the Swans at the Gutter.
Yeah, I watched the back end of this game, and I thought, there were plenty of times where I thought that, this game was one and done for Sydney, especially back end of the third quarter. They got a big lead, and I thought that's it. About to turn it off. No, Brisbane come back. Fourth quarter, Sydney start playing well. They get out another goal, couple of points there in the end that actually end up helping them win. I thought that's that, but Brisbane come back, make a game of it. They make a real effort of it in that last 3 minutes. Running out of time, unfortunately. If the game had gone for another, say, 10, 20 seconds, I think they could have got another forward entry and won that game. But that's football for you. Win some, you lose some. Sydney, just built off the back of that really strong first quarter where it's 5-3, and then, second quarter they played, held a lead, extended it in the third, and then just pushed enough in the last to keep that lead there, whatever it needed to be. I think that they're going to be disappointed that they let Brisbane in with half a chance at the end there, but they're still going to take the win in the end. 2026, Sydney are going to be back in that top 4. I pretty much guarantee that at this point. For Brisbane, tough loss for them. Top 4 on the line for them. Luckily for them, they have the draw that they got earlier in the year against North Melbourne. So we're getting to the point now where I think that 2 points is going to be of assistance to them rather than of a detriment to them. So they've got a couple of big opponents coming up. I think Brisbane's last 2, from having a look, I believe it's Fremantle and Hawthorn are their last 2. So they've got some tough opponents on the way in. And Sydney, albeit where they are this season, still tough opponents nonetheless. At Sydney, they are still a very strong side when they have everyone available, and they do it again, against Brisbane here. And yeah, Ben, as you said, absolutely masterclass out of the midfield for Isaac Heaney, so he's also going to be my player of the game.
No worries. So I actually did not watch this game, but that's okay. But Earl, when you're ready, we'll go into we come to Saturday night football. So look, I'll let you share the Blues and the Suns right now as we head to Marvel Stadium for the first Saturday doubleheader.
Thank you for that. Okay, Saturday night, Marvel Stadium, Carlton and Gold Coast, an interesting one. Normally the Blues do like to play at the G, so Marvel, well, they've played it the last couple of years. It's not, typically a home game for them. And Gold Coast always, historically sketchy on the road. This year a little bit better, but this was one that was a key win away for them here, Gold Coast, as they win this one 13-15, 93, 11-8, 74 over the Blues. A very, very strong start from Carlton probably had the better of the start, holding Gold Coast early on, got a little bit of a lead, got a little bit of momentum in that, the mid stage of that first quarter, and then Gold Coast just started to run down through the back end of the first, the second, the third quarter, really cement that lead, and then Carlton nearly another last quarter comeback again. They've come very close in a lot of these last quarters this year, the Blues. That's been their real letdown. They can get so close in most games, and they have one really good quarter, normally the last quarter or the first quarter, and then those middle quarters are their weakness. If they can come out next year and show that their middle quarters are stronger than they are this year, I think they're going to be in a much better position than they are right now. As for Gold Coast, they get the win. They held Carlton's momentum when they needed to. Got a couple of breaks, ball bouncing their way, take advantage of that, score goals. That's what kills football teams, is when, the other teams looks like they're just starting to get a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a foothold in the game, and then you just get a tap to yourself, a bounce that goes your mate's way, kicks it into the 50, forwards wide open, handball over the back, run into the goal square and kick a goal. That shatters teams. That really shatters teams, and that happened to Carlton in this one, is they just those one or two 50-50 contests just seem to just keep going the way of Gold Coast, throughout that second quarter, throughout the third quarter as well. Eventually, they do flip a little bit back to Carlton in the last, but just too little too late there for Carlton in this one, as Gold Coast winning here by 19. Get to my player of the game, and then the other awards that we have for this one. So the first one is, well, not player of the game. We have a triple-double for Cooper Lord of Carlton, 112 AFL Fantasy, 24 touches, 13 kicks, 11 handballs, 1 mark, and 12 tackles. We now go to my player of the game, who will be from Gold Coast, Matt Rao, 116 AFL Fantasy, 30 touches, 13 kicks, 17 handballs, 4 marks, and 8 tackles.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So we now got Carlton and Gold Coast, as we said, 24,120. Now, is that okay for Saturday night football with 13,000? With the final score 13-15, 93, 11-8, 74, 19 40 winners. Well done, Gold Coast. Another win that came in their first final in club history. Now, if for some reason it does happen, I think they are safe. Gold Coast supporters, listen to this clear and not be nasty. Get behind your team in a big way. Really really get behind your team, because this is your chance in Gold Coast Suns history. I will be, even on, I'm an Adelaide Crows support, I'll be supporting my team, but the situation, I'll also support your team as well. It's something that a lot of supporters will be doing that. So that's what I'm saying. It's a good win. It's not your favourite statement on the Damien Hardwick, but it's work. He's won a couple games. You have connected really well. You've got some great talent. Use it. No injuries. Stay injury-free wherever you can. I know you've got a good, and you're quite hard on the Gold Coast. So really make sure you get a sold-out crowd if you do get a home final, whenever you do get in the final series, because I'm going to say this is going to be massive. But anyway, look, Carlton, good effort. 19 points, it's not like it's a 50, 60 point defeat. It is only 19. So it's much as you have absolutely shown that you can proving each week. Got a couple more weeks to go. It's going to be interesting to know what you can do in the next effort. Well, heads up. Good effort, Carlton. Never give up. I know Gold Coast, as I said, well done on the win. Here we go. They are the game. Look, some of them a man should be in the All-Australian. He's absolutely one of the best, but he's lost a little bit more of a contest, but he served my part of the game. Jared Witts from Gold Coast Suns, Ruckman. He's playing 15 spots, 3 tackles, 1 goal, 188 offensively, 60% defensive half, 40% forward half, 1 goal assist, 6 scoring involvement, 24 centre bounce attendance, 49 hit out and 4 clearances. Well done for the big fella from Jared from the Gold Coast Suns of Ruckman. Okay. Look, I'll just continue on, and that's all good. It is Saturday night, 14. We've got the second game. We're heading to Adelaide, South Australia at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide hosting Fremantle Dockers, and almost Port Adelaide claiming the win they needed in front of their supporters. And also the second last home game for Ken Kingley and Travis Bloke. What a career for this fella against Gold Coast. You never know what will happen as well. Now, there's more than a game upsell of the round. This is upsell of the round. And this made me just clear one, saying, look, Port Adelaide claimed the big win in front of their Port Adelaide supporters. Unfortunately, not on Port Adelaide's end. It was the winner was Fremantle. Final score 15-4-92, defeated 13 at 86. 30,390 was the fans at Adelaide Oval, packed it all. Not great, because you're not playing good football, all that. It happens. Great effort by Port Adelaide. Keep on with the contest and never give up your thing. For 4 quarters of football, he did maybe half of that. Fremantle, another win by the Ducks. Big road trip. Didn't see what's happening with that. Fremantle were the team to win and make it into a close one. Yeah, didn't really see this as a close game. We know that. Holding on with the win, 6-point victory. With Port Adelaide, it has been a challenging year, but this is one of the best games you see. One of their key defenders, former Swan, now have kicked the goal. Almost was very close my player of the game, but Shea Bolton has come to be my player of that game. From Shea Bolton from Fremantle, the midfielder forward. Well done on your performance. 19 disposals, 6 marks, 3 tackles, 2 goals, 93 AFL offensively, 23% defensive half. We've got 77% forward half, 1 goal, 6, 11 score involvements. Well done, Shea Bolton from the Fremantle Dockers. Meet forward. All right, then take it away from the Port Adelaide Fremantle game. What a game this was.
This was, again, another classic game to close out Scary Saturday, because I know the Froze supporters were absolutely heart in mouth at some point during this game. You have Port 0 goals for a quarter time, and you're up 4 goals at a quarter time, and then Port come out, kick 8-1 in the second quarter. Yeah, that came out of nowhere. I was watching, as I said, Gold Coast and Carlton, and they had the Port Freo score in the top of the screen, because I was watching it on the Fox box, and I looked up 5 minutes, it's quarter time. I look up again, Porter in the lead, and I made some form of noise, and that's all I can describe that as. Port, really played third quarter, 3 goals to 2 in the third quarter, so they probably should have locked it down there, but Fremantle defensively, playing what they do best, defensive footy, they locked Port down to 2 goals in the last, and then they kicked 4-2 of their own in the final quarter, including the one that wins them the game from their captain, Alex Pearce, who regularly is a key defender, floats forward, gets involved, does what he needs to do to win the game. That's what a good captain does. That's what a captain needs to be doing the extra work to get the job done for his team. Pearce getting Freo over the line here in this one by 6 in the end. So the Dockers go on to beat the Power here. Final scores were 13-14-92, 13-8-86. Not much to really be complaining about. Fremantle just locking up Port in that last quarter, giving them the win. I'll go through some of the stats of my player of the game now. So first thing that I noticed here is that we have a triple-double from a legend, from a member of a football club who will live, long into the future. Travis Boak, and it gives me great pleasure to say this as well. Travis Boak get a BJ Show triple-double here. 22 touches, 11 kicks, 11 handballs, 10 mark, 103 AFL fantasy, and just for that, I'm going to give you my player of the game as well.
Awesome. So you're talking about what good captains do, kick goals, win goals. Do you remember the Jordan Dawson showdown a few years ago?
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, is you do the little things. You float, you move around where you need it to, and when the ball falls to you, you call your own number, you deliver. I've watched so many great captains do that.
Also the high tackle from the former pro Nick Henry got a high tackle, and Jordan Dawson, it was one of the best goals on the northern end members western end. He can kick the goal, and since I think that was it was a few years ago, and Port Adelaide were a pretty good team in that time slot, and when Adelaide won that game, Showdown's favourites, it's been in front of Adelaide Crows for some time. We totally controlled that, that league. But you never know what Port Adelaide can do. And I think early in the year this year, Port Adelaide looking pretty good. And then, fortunately, they won the game, but it was just, I went to that Showdown just a few weeks back, and unbelievable. But unfortunately, haven't seen that, winning close games, and that well done to Fremantle, Alex Pearce, I mean to say that, but yeah, no worries. So, all right, 3 more games to go, and just keeping it in time and flying. So, Super Saturday into Super Sunday tickets. Known for Footy, if you ever know, Fox Footy is a channel here in Australia, or if you listen to this around the globe. So, it is a subscription. You can watch this on KO and what they know as Sunday Ticket Football. But I like Super Sunday all weekend. So, especially Saturday and Sunday. So, if we've got 3 games to share, and really don't want to miss out one of the games, even both of them, the last 2 games of the round. So, Aidan, if that's all right with you, I'll let you share this first one. Before I do that, so the first game, we head to Canberra. GWS Giants versus North Melbourne. Then we head back to Melbourne at MCG, Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs. What will be even my thoughts of the game of the round? It's the 2021 grand final rematch, and I think this should be in the grand final rematch back then, but we'll see that very soon. And this is the game you don't want to miss, the West Coast Adelaide Crows. So, Aidan, take it away for the Giants and the Roos, as known North Melbourne, the King Canberra. What a game this was, all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Canberra, where it's freezing cold in the middle of winter. No, it's Canberra. You got to be down there, eh? I know people from Canberra. Half my family lives there, so they're not from Canberra. That's too hard to say. Just call it Canberra and be done with it. It's a little bowl in the middle of nowhere anyway. Back with the footy. GWS North Melbourne, I think this one, probably was one of the more standard results that we come to expect this week. GWS winning this one by 54 points. This was probably the only, straightforward game we had all round. GWS, far and away better than North. 2013, 133.79. Sorry, 12.7, 79 for North Melbourne, which is, for North, I'm not gonna berate you this week, North. You're safe from me berating you this week. Don't worry. I'll come back for you next week. But GWS, do business as usual. They're getting a little bit of a Geelong air about them around this kind of finals time of year where, nothing seems to faze them. Their own tsunami starts to rise in August, September, and they've picked it up right now, right when they needed it, trying to push for the 8. They've got key games. They've got key matchups the next 2 weeks that will determine if they're in or not. They'll start with Gold Coast next week, and then I've got another big one in round 24 as well. So that could be key for them. They do get the job done here over in North Melbourne, as I said, and for North, I'm actually pretty happy with their performance. They were probably never truly in the contest at any point, but they kept up their scoring and they didn't, falter in attack, and that's something that I've got to look towards next year and be like, even if we are getting bashed and beaten to smithereens defensively, at least we can do is the forward end can start to gel and around, Larky and Zerha and Curtis, and just keep producing results, because that's what you need to do. Eventually, the defense will pick up as players get more game time, develop themselves into more high-level AFL players. Main thing this week is you're getting goals on the board even in these big defeats. I mean, the scoreline was 5 goals, 6 goals and 4 goals to GWS. To North, it was 2-2, 5 and 3. So even the scoring's picked up there for North as well. So a lot to look forward to in the next couple of years for North Melbourne there as well. We'll go into my player of the game now, and there's only one player that I'm thinking of for this one, and it's Toby Green from GWS. 128 AFL fantasy, 3 goals, 23 touches, 18 kicks, 5 handballs, 10 marks and 4 tackles for Toby.
Yeah, so we do head to, wherever you said, I like saying Canberra, wherever. It sounds like you're saying from Canada. Anyway, I really like 11,753. Well, pretty good efforts for GWS Giants versus North Melbourne first game. 20 goals for team, 133, defeated 12, 779. So, like on credit what you said, well effort to North Melbourne. They never give up all game, and this is something that they're coming together. They're not on the bottom part of that ladder. They need to rise to the occasion. They've gone down a little bit. They need to do something better than ever. So, in a way, I don't look at them. Yes, GWS needed to win that game with saying that top 8, even that 6th and 8th place. The mighty Western Bulldogs will share them very soon. Man, they want to play finals. They are holding their breath from that. But going back to this game, look, 12 goals. It's for North Melbourne. It's showing me that they can score 80 points. They can totally do it. They haven't seen that for a while, but improvements with scoring with that is great. Best of luck with North Melbourne as they will take on Richmond at Newton Stadium, which they have a chance to win this game. I really think, yes, okay, Richmond are looking really like maybe a slightly better, but North Melbourne will have a chance to play. They have not won in Tasmania at Newton Stadium in such a long time, and they have a pretty good chance for that. But GWS Giants, yes, they take on Gold Coast. As you mentioned, we'll share that very soon. At People's First Stadium will be absolutely a really good contest, and Gold Coast do not want to muck around with that bit. But far and beyond, let's get to our part of the game, really. This man absolutely dominated against the odds of Carlton Brown from GWS Giant forward. 8 touches, 8 disposals, 5 marks, 2 tackles, 76 April fantasy, 5 goals, 43% defensive half, 57% forward half, 5 score involvements. Well done, Carlton Brown from the GWS Giants forward. So, yes, I mentioned this in the intro. Not much to really have to say about this game. And boy, this is what I call Scary Sunday. You call yourself Saturday, Scary Sunday. This is one of the made should be a 2021 grand final at the Optus Stadium, and it's not meant to be. We go back to Melbourne, MCG, the 2021 AFL grand final win match. Why I'm saying that is actually one of the best games of for the round, and very much the second of under or in that 1 goal margin. So 34,733 packed the MCG. No, it doesn't feel like a finals football. Well, more like that, it just didn't have to be crowd. What this game, part of the game, is all about is one team, Western Bulldogs, is hunt for the finals, and that's what they're doing. Melbourne not playing finals for the season and always giving a guy and having fun. 15-15, 105, 15, 999. Well done to the Dogs, to the Western Bulldogs. They are hungry. They are hoping to find and win. And they're doing it. Staying in the race for the finals. And what Western Bulldogs can do is win. That's all they have to do. But also, play in the way that they're going to do it. Melbourne, bad luck always next week against Hawthorn. MCG on Saturday afternoon footy. we'll share very soon. Western Bulldogs, well, they take on West Coast. Now, we'll share this game really soon, the final game, but I've got to say right now, I have Western Bulldogs up ahead to take on West Coast, because I've got to say this right now, don't take West Coast lightly. They have shown what they can do, and they have not done in a long time, not even this season. They've proven they can do it. And boy, I can't wait to share some really not good. My moment of the round will be that one. But we've had the game. Monkers, sponsor, penalty from the Western Bulldogs. Midfield include 33 disposals, 5 marks, 5 tackles. 5 marks, 5 tackles. 128 for Fantasy, 60% defensive half, 40% forward half, 9 scoring involvements, 685 metres gained, 25% of centre bounce, attenders, 7 inside 50s, and 7 clearances. Wow, that's a very lucky number. Double sevens in that. Well done to Monkers from the captain of the Western Bulldogs midfielder, 8 inches away from the Demons and the Bulldogs. MCG, second game, MCG.
Yeah, tough week for Melbourne to start with. Obviously, they sacked Simon Goodwin midweek. So Troy Chaplin's going to be coaching him the rest of the year. So he coached this weekend. He coached the next 2 games for them as well. This was a really good turnaround from Melbourne. Western Bulldogs playing for finals. They just wanted more. They want it more, because you don't want to be the one who misses out when there's a clear top 9. There's 8 spots available. 9 teams genuinely in it this year, and the one who misses out is going to be sitting there in September feeling a little bit sorry for himself. And Bulldogs know that. They've felt that before. They don't want to do it again. It's not from Bulldogs' perspective, knowing what that feels like, it's not fun. You want to be playing your best footy in September, not sitting at home watching other teams playing. On to this game though, Melbourne, as I said, played a lot better than they have the last couple of weeks. Really getting in the contest here and really keeping it very, very open. Really strong third quarter from Melbourne where they kicked 7 goals, and you'd think at some point that's enough, but Bulldogs, towards the back end of that last quarter really showed that they are a genuine threat for finals. If they make it, they can be a challenging opposition. There's definitely some teams I think that they match up well against if they get there, but that's what they're playing for now, is to get there. Melbourne not having to play for something. They have to play for their pride, their respect for Troy Chaplin, but there's nothing of great value in terms of finals for Melbourne this year. Next year, they're going to be back. If they play like this next year, they're going to be back for sure. I guarantee that. But Western Bulldogs, this is all about them. They took the ups and downs of this game. They got the result in the end. They beat Melbourne in the end. Final scores 15-15, 105, 15-9, 99. So 15 goal lead, but just more scoreboard pressure from Western Bulldogs. Their scoreboard, accumulation from Western Bulldogs there. So for Melbourne, they just one more scoring shot on goal, and they tie this game. 2 more, they get a win. So that's the fine margins of playing finals footy or not playing finals footy for Western Bulldogs this year. And they're proving that they're up to the number. They had a close game against Adelaide a couple of weeks ago that really set Adelaide off. And I think this win here for them really sets them off for the back end of the year as they play to make it into the top 8. My player of the game for this one, 125 AFL fantasy, 24 touches, 12 kicks, 12 handballs, 6 marks, and 12 tackles for Tom Liberatore.
Another triple-double as well, if I'm correct.
Yes, you are.
So there you go. So I love it. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, grandparents, dogs and pussycats. Wow. This, I'm going to save it for the last. If Aiden's ready, this is not just a holding breath. We head to Perth at the stadium. West Coast versus Adelaide. Aiden, I'll let you share the family.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw this at all either. So, Adelaide and West Coast, this is the polar ends of the planet right now. This is the team striving for a minor premiership and the grand final and the premiership against the ultimate rung of the ladder in West Coast. Adelaide make a strategic decision in the week resting Taylor Walker, and they just get away with it. And they get away with it by the skin of their teeth. As first quarter, Adelaide looked dominant towards the back end. West Coast do get goals early, but Adelaide looked like they're about to put the foot down. Back end of the first quarter, they finished the first quarter 5 goals for the Crows, 3 for West Coast. Second quarter, new story. All West Coast. 3 goals for the Eagles, 2 points for the Crows. Then in the final quarter, it goes around in roundabouts as it goes again. West Coast 4 goals, Adelaide 4 goals. West Coast just having a lead as we go into the final change. Final quarter, West Coast are the ones who start well. They get the first goal of the quarter. Then the Crows come back and look to show who they are. They do. They show, the quarter falls away for Adelaide. Final quarter, Adelaide kicking 4 goals, 3. West Coast 2 goals, 2. Adelaide winning this one by 9 points, 13-9. 87, 12, 6, 78. This was probably one of, if not one of the games of the year. Just thinking about the polar disposition of the two sides. For West Coast, this is, again, just like North Melbourne. You avoided me yelling at you for this week. Guess who gets yelled at this week? Adelaide are taking it this week. Because I'm sorry. This week has just proven how much Taylor Walker means to this club. Sure, we're trying to transition the forward line over to Darcy Fogarty and, more importantly, Riley Thilthorpe. But you serve up that. You nearly cough it up against the lowly, pathetic West Coast. You have one win against an also lowly, somehow even more pathetic St Kilda. Adelaide, this is not a time to take your foot off the gas. You need to go all gas, no brakes at this time of the year. You are one win away from a minor premiership. You play Collingwood next week. You win that, you are the minor premiers. That is it. You nearly stuffed it up here against West Coast. So, when you look at the schedule, if this comes around next year, do not rest players when the race is still on. Rest them when it's over. Because if you beat Collingwood next week, you play North Melbourne. You play North Melbourne in round 24. You can rest you can rest Walker, you can rest Thilthorpe, you can rest Dawson, you can rest Laird, you can rest Buck, you can rest Miller, you can rest Keane. Just to begin with. But it's not over yet. Get to that point first. You nearly threw away a minor premiership because you thought Taylor Walker should have a week off playing against West Coast. Now, West Coast, all credit to them, played a bloody good game. But this should never have happened. This poor gentleman sitting next to me should never have had to sit through his beloved Adelaide Crows nearly get the life taken out of them by West Coast in 2025. We're going to go to my player of the game now. And talking about all of those Crows players who they could have rested, it is going to be Jordan Dawson. 147 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 26 touches, 18 kicks, 8 handballs, 6 marks, and 14 tackles. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can't crack myself laughing. The word pathetic is actually a really harsh but fair way. Now, I was watching this game with Mum, by the way, and boy, you can't play West Coast level. Now, before I get to the Adelaide Crows, I just want to say, credit. You don't have your best show man off. He's on the sideline injured. Harley Reid. He's smiling, enjoying a time off, smiling in the coach's box. With just him in the box watching the game. You don't have Harley Reid out there. Why is throwing you on West Coast? This is the epics. This is what the supporters have been waiting all year. Do it each week at home. You had a chance against Richmond, for goodness sake, and you got absolutely bounced. Yes, you had Harley Reid in that team. Makes a big difference when you perform your game style, and you did it. You almost passed the test. Now, favour of facts, 20, if I got this correct, Collingwood upset West Coast. It's Collingwood were 18th. So that makes a big difference if I got that theory correct. West Coast would upset the top place West Coast. So opens up, 2006 I think that was. It tells me that 19 years later in the AFL history, that West Coast almost did that to the top place. Almost. Not as, almost. So Adelaide, you got a big test against Collingwood. Yes, Collingwood will be tested. They lost the last couple of games, but they'll come out absolutely heated. Well, we do come to the final score, 13-9-87, 12-6-78. So 9 points, really. Look, you're sitting on top of the ladder right now, Adelaide, but, you do deserve that place, absolute, and I respect that. But you can't play their level. We are a lot better. You've got to play our Adelaide Crows brand of football. We've been doing it all year. And boy, Adelaide Crows will learn that from that win. It's coming from a loss. They will learn what they made mistake. You can't just rely on Tex Walker. Yes, he's a great player, but you got to rely on other players around you. We know we can do that. But yes, I thought Adelaide will lead most of the game, but it was West Coast leading all game. Not besides quarter time and end of the game, but during that second and third, Adelaide are pretty good with that. The skills and all that will top place. And you earn that. I'll give you all that. Go to Bulldogs, go to Melbourne, at Marble. Good luck against Bulldogs. Won't be easy, but I'll give you that credit. Adelaide as well, take on Collingwood, sold out, Saturday night footy. We're done with that. Adelaide, yes, well done, big work. I have said walk in the park. This was no walk in the park. And it's common. You can't go to Perth and think you're going to win it. That's what West Coast pressure did. And I give that fully wet. Ching. Well, the ching was the 4 points to the LA Crows, that's all I'm going to say. Well, the pass and not pass wall with West Coast was sensational. And we found ways to win kick goals, and it was not easy. Let's go through into before we get to the heart of the game, Riley Filfor, absolute star. Thought he was going to be out of the game, made their sub. It was a bit soreness of the neck, came out and kept the biggest goal of all time. The double header to make it 9-point victory. This is what happens when it's a bit painful, comes off, recover, bang. Play of the game. Same as you, Jordan Dawson. The Crows captain midfielder. Absolute deserved to be one of my the Brownlow, absolute in the top two. He's shown what Adelaide Crows are made of. He should be, not saying this too early, but earns that really, really. He should be the Crows' best and fairest as well. I'm just saying this as me as a Crows supporter. He's up there. I'm saying that loud, but not too much of the special wheelchair we're going to have very soon. So Jordan Dawson, 26 disposals, 6 marks, 14 tackles. Absolutely a domination display. And it was the second half. He did it. 1 goal, 147 aim for density, 45% defensive half, 55% forward half, 50-50, almost 50-50 all over the field. 5 score involvement, 638 metres gained, 26 centre bounce attenders, 11 side 50s, 5 clearances. So I am not too sure, but I think we do have a triple-double from Jordan Dawson, so on those inside 50s. But well done to the captain, and well done, Jordan Dawson. So we continue on. Now we're done and dusted with round 22. 2 more rounds. I don't like the round 24 fixture in my opinion, Aiden. A Wednesday night football between that extra game from opening round. I hate it, but it is what it is. I think that was scheduled early in the year. But round 23. Previews, here we go. I'm not a fan of the double header. So Aiden, if that's all right, I'll go through my footy tips and then you do yours. No problems. Now we're done and dusted all my coolness and wow. First up, Essendon and St Kilda, a bit boring, but I think St Kilda will take care of 25 points at Marble Stadium. And I think the crowd attendance will be about 25,000 plus. Second game. This is the game will be the most games should be on free to air. It will not be free to air. Because guess what, Western Australian viewers, you earned this game off the round in my opinion. Fremantle and Brisbane. 1 team won. 1 team lost. Brisbane heading to Western Australia. Fremantle are home from that 6-point victory over Port Adelaide. And they have. What a game this could be. So, I'm going with Fremantle. What a game this will be. Now, I think it will be close. All game, 20 points in favour for Fremantle. Should be more, and I think the crowd attendance are getting a pretty good decent of 40 to 45,000 in between that. We come to the Super Saturday. We have 4 games to share. Here we go. Gold Coast and GWS. People First Stadium. Collingwood Gold Coast a couple 32 points. Carlton, Port Adelaide, Marble Stadium. Carlton to win this game by, let's just stay 15 points. I think Port Adelaide will be in that contest. And I'm just saying this, I think this will be an upset, but Carlton take care. I think it's 50-50 for these two. But we come to the MCG, the cross and marble for Hawthorn and Melbourne, and Hawthorn should take a 45-point lead, but that could change. And I think the crowd attendance should be 30,000 at the MCG. And for between 30 or 40,000 in between. We go to the first of 2, feeling of a way to what this game should be. Adelaide Crows. Collingwood heads to Adelaide. as the hot pies, as they know for. And this should be maybe the hot of the finals feeling. Adelaide Crows to hold on by 8 points. Now, I'm just saying this as an idea. Collingwood will lead 65% of the game. That was almost of the game. And Adelaide will come from nowhere to win and fight back like they did against West Coast. That could be different. I'm just saying this right now. It will be very even in the contest. Collingwood, well, all the best. I know you'll come, but Adelaide will hold on. But that's just saying in general football talk. All right, we got the last 3 games before we change back to Thursday night football next week, which is a bit boring. We'll share that next show. But heading to Nietzsche Stadium, well, I'm saying this game, Richmond and North Melbourne, or North Melbourne, Richmond, and I'm saying this right now. I think North Melbourne deserves a win. And it will be close. I think anyone can win. And, Richmond have shown promises massively. And North Melbourne, I think they've got the better on the table, in my opinion. Yes, they've got a lot of kids there, Richmond. Same as North Melbourne, a lot of talent both ends. I think it will be more way of North Melbourne by 11 points. And it should be a close one as well, hopefully. Well, we have Sydney Swans and Geelong comes to town. I'm going with Geelong now. I know Sydney will win by 2 points and they'll enjoy it. But how much recovery can Sydney to come back home? They've got a 1 week recovery. So it's really technically 6 days of recovery, not 7, because they play whenever they play. But I'm going with Geelong by 35 points, but I really think it's going to be maybe 25 points now. I think it's going to be a 4-goal win, not 6 goals. I think it's a bit harsh saying 35. But I think Sydney will be in the game. They need to be in that game. They haven't performed overly great. They do have their talent, but I think Geelong will take care, and I think Jeremy Cameron will hopefully to do better in accuracy, into better accuracy. So, yeah, Geelong, I said, but 25 points. Okie dokie, final game where we head back to, at Marvel Stadium, Melbourne. And, we got for the second time for this game, we have the Western Bulldogs taking on West Coast. Now, I'm saying 20 points for West Coast not West Coast, Western Bulldogs to win this game. The forward pressure, that's all West Coast. West Coast can do the same thing against the Western Bulldogs. And please, goodness, West Coast, do it. Do it against the Bulldogs. Because I tell you right now, you can do a top place, you can get the team that's in 9th place. On the road, you can bring that ball pressure. It will work. It will work. And trust me, I will give you credit if you can bring that. If you can win this game, I'm going to say right now that it will be the most miracle second win of the year. But I'm hoping it's going to be a 20-point victory to the Bulldogs. All right, Aidan, it's your time to share what should be an interesting round 23 previews. Take our all for the 9 games.
Yeah, we start, as you said, Essendon versus St Kilda. I think I'm going to have to go here, St Kilda. St Kilda probably just that little bit better than Essendon. Will be closer to St Kilda by 3 goals. Jumping down to Freo and Brisbane. Brisbane, they're a little bit up and down at the moment. Questions around Lockie Neal at the moment. So that one will be Fremantle. Then we come to a game I have a real interest in. It is Gold Coast and GWS. A loss for GWS here could put them out of the 8 with other results going their way, especially with Western Bulldogs playing West Coast. A loss for Gold Coast doesn't hurt as much because they have the catch-up game to make up. Although, with that said, I am going, because it is in Gold Coast, I will be going with the Gold Coast. Then we come to Carlton and Port Adelaide, and this one is an interesting one because it's Ken Hinkley versus Michael Voss, a former Port senior assistant versus Ken Hinkley, and this one's going to go the way of the Blues. Hawthorn and Melbourne, always a traditional, interesting fixture here. This one, Hawthorn playing much like GWS and Gold Coast, playing for a spot in the top 8. Hawthorn, buoyed by this, go on, they get the win in this one. Then we come to the one I am calling the game of the round between Adelaide and Collingwood. I think this is going to be, on paper, it's probably one of the best games there is. I think it's going to be very even throughout the first half, and Adelaide is going to cruise in the second, so I'm going to take the Crows in this one. Moving down to Sunday, we start with North Melbourne, Richmond in Tasmania at Bellerive Oval. No, I am not calling it Ninja Stadium. At Bellerive Oval, North Melbourne win by a Tasmania. Then we have Sydney and Geelong, and Sydney is going to ruin another team, I think. I think Jeremy Cameron's going to kick, at least 6, probably 7. But Sydney are going to ruin Geelong's season as well. So Sydney take this one. Then we jump down to Western Bulldogs and West Coast. So I said Western Bulldogs, they know what they're playing for. They've been around this line for the last 6 or 7, well, actually the last 10 years, ever since they won a premiership in 16 when they won the premiership there. They finished 7th. They could probably do it again this year from down there. But they will win this one over West Coast. So I will go through them again quickly. We have St Kilda beating Essendon by 3 goals. Fremantle beating Brisbane. Gold Coast versus GWS going the way of Gold Coast. Carlton beating Port Adelaide. Hawthorn beating Melbourne. Adelaide beating Collingwood. North Melbourne beating Richmond via Tasmania. Sydney ruining Geelong's season. And Western Bulldogs sneaking into the 8 for the week after beating West Coast.
Interesting about Sydney joining a 16 Geelong. I like that. So I like it. So, and I like the North Melbourne winning in as by Tasman. So I call for it to sack the same thing because they're both from that, the history of that. So we are going to time it out. Thank you all. We are done for today's show. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, Aidan, for another crucial, fun episode.
It's been a pleasure. We've got 2 weeks left of footy and then we've got finals, so it's really starting to heat up this time of year. We'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, and also stay tuned for some fun shows and the 2025 BJ show, award show. I can't wait for that as well, Aidan.
Yeah, so award show coming up as well. We're going to have some surprises in that one. So basically, we'll tell you now. I'll tell you now. But we both come up with our own awards as we've done the last few years. But one thing that the people may not know is these are completely secret ballots. We don't know each other's awards until the day. So we don't have a clue of what each other's going for either. And that's one of the fun things about the award show at the end of the year is, celebrating the year of football that we've had, but just seeing who comes up with what for their awards. So that's something to look forward to come later on in the season.
Yeah, so besides that, go and listen to the latest episode. There's so many great episodes. And, it's not just the awards, we've got the quizzes as well. We'll get us just off that later in the year. We're also, maybe a bonus episodes as I've been doing all year. This is outside of football and stay tuned for that. But thanks for listening. We'll see you all soon. All right, BJ show's out. See you very soon and keep podcasting. All right, peace out. Bye.